it's finally working. Okay, I am just checking that everything works, and it looks like everything works. Um, just need to find a way to check if people can hear me, but I'm assuming people can. Anyway, if the audio doesn't record, it's fine. I will just do this again. But hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Ninja Thinks No One Cares, where I think and no one cares. And I also think that no one cares. Yes, that's right. I'm Ninja. It's nice to be able to sit here and talk to you today. I want to keep these episodes super short and authentic. So, my plan is to do them all live. You can always catch the recording of it later if you miss it, so it's fine. Today, I want to talk about four things that I have been thinking of and no one has cared about yet. Obviously, no one cares about it because no one knows about it, and that's why I'm telling you about it so you know about it, and then I can find out if you care about it. So let's see if people actually care. I have four topics for this first episode. We're going to talk about kindness versus availability, kindness and intelligence, self improvement and love, and mental strength and happiness. Just a quick disclaimer, I do my own research on these topics. This is not a conversation to propagate or advise anyone on anything. They are all just results of my own introspection, contemplation, thoughts, research, whatever. I'm not an expert. These are simply just my musings and observations from what I do in my daily life. I will have a sip of coffee and then we'll get started. Okay. So, the first thing I want to talk about is kindness versus availability. I'm sure you already have your thoughts on something like this, but here's my take. I really think one big mistake we tend to make is to confuse kindness for availability. For example, someone is being nice to you or they're being kind to you in a particular situation, or just in general, they've been kind to you, whether it's someone you know or it's a stranger, we think that it somehow makes them available to us. And it's a natural human reaction to then have some kind of mild attachment or even strong attachment sometimes. Or we want to take advantage of that relationship or that illusion of availability that we now have because it feels like something's being given to us for free. Maybe it's also something we've openly asked for and this person is willing to give it to us. So we automatically assume that every time we ask for it, it will be given, or we'll just place our bets. I'm just going to try and keep asking this person because the first time this person said yes. So then every time this person should say yes because that's what we expect from people, right? You gave me one thing for free. So now every time I work with you, work with me for free. Or every time we have something, do it for free. Or whenever I ask you for something, you be nice and kind to me always, not for anything that I've done or anything like that, because you are inherently like that. Okay, but that doesn't mean that that person is available every time to be nice or be kind. Now, the issue stems from what we're taught to do with things that we get for free. We're taught to take, so we take and take and take, and we forget to consider the other person's limit of giving. Now, very naturally, they start getting frustrated or they're just genuinely depleted and they may react badly all of a sudden. But is it actually a sudden reaction? It's really not for the person getting exhausted, right? It's that they get drained, or we drain them, or people in general in their lives have drained them because they are this way. And people like that, givers, they're not very common anymore. Um, so everyone behaving that way constantly around them completely depletes their reserves for giving, or like their natural daily limit to be kind, right? Now at this point I feel, instead of getting defensive or being hurt that they're no longer able to give, it should be our job to reciprocate their past kindness with kindness. And I just don't see many people doing that. Instead, I see that the way we react to someone not being kind anymore is shock, or like demand, oh, you're not giving me, so I will ask again and again and again because suddenly you stopped giving me. Or instead of approaching it from, oh, I was afraid I did something wrong. I was afraid that I hurt you. I was afraid that you're dealing with a lot. Is there something I can do for you? So we always reciprocate with demanding more and more and more and expecting more and more output from this person who's been understanding and empathetic and has now suddenly shut down. Instead of reciprocating with kindness and considering that maybe we need to give, we need to be there for them. So I feel, realizing this, and the more I've actually like been practicing it, just being more accommodating of another person's personality traits, empathy, and kindness, I feel that this does require a little extra effort and brain work. But once you turn it into a habit, it's such a nice default setting to have. And that actually leads me quite nicely into the second topic that I want to talk about, which is kindness and intelligence. I think along with, our pursuit of knowledge or any kind of intelligence, uh, wanting to be smarter, wanting to be better, wanting to be cleverer, wanting to excel at something, wanting to find that like perfection or excellence somewhere, we really should also pursue trying to be kinder, learning to be kinder. I feel like this is because the more knowledge we acquire, the more we understand these things, both about like physical reality and emotional reality, the smarter we get. We're better at work situations, we're better with relationships, we're better with people in our day-to-day lives, and that allows us to learn more. It builds more neural pathways. It does promote a lot of neuroplasticity because you're more open to putting yourself in tough situations, in situations where it's not really your comfort zone, but it may be the comfort zone of someone else. So the smarter we get, the more we must realize that it's likely that we've learned something that somebody else hasn't, or we know something that someone else doesn't know, or we now know something that other people have known all along, especially if you're sitting and learning things about yourself. Um, if you're doing more introspection than other people, like if you're doing more research on like psychology and emotional traits, or just general personality traits, what the impact is of certain types of trauma that you've been through, the trauma other people may have been through, even learning more and gaining more information on physical things like nutrition, your health, workouts, daily life structure, your work, your job. Basically, if you do more introspection than other people, or if you haven't done as much introspection on other people, you're now trying several different ways to gain knowledge and make that active change for yourself, right? In this moment of you trying to learn, trying to gain knowledge, trying to have that pursuit. This possibly means that right now, in this general brain rot era, or let me put it in a kinder way, it's very likely that you're going down a path that very few people have gone through, or a path that some people have been through and they're waiting for you to see, or a path that people will never entirely go down when it comes to knowledge acquisition as you. So there are some people who learn in very different ways, right? Some people learn from books, some people learn from reading papers online, articles, some people learn from social media, some people learn from other people, etc., etc. So everyone goes through this journey at different times, at different paces. And genuinely, they might have known something that you have just learned for a long time, or they may not ever discover it for the rest of their lives because their circumstance or their situation hasn't pushed them to reach there. So, as we get smarter, true intelligence, practical and emotional, is connecting that new knowledge to how you can apply it day to day. So, the more we learn, I don't know if you've realized this, but it is for me. The more we learn, the more we realize we just don't know enough, right? Like the more you learn, the more there is to learn. So the more curious we get, and I really feel like that should transcend just subjects to people. Why does that curiosity not transcend to other people? With people, our approach is always judgment. Oh, now because I know something and this other person doesn't know it, I don't want to know anything about this person. Or I know something about this subject, so I want to learn a lot about this subject. But I know this one thing about this one person, and I don't know anything else about this person. And I am already forming a judgment about this person. And I think that's really unfair. So the more curious we get about anything that we gain knowledge on, the more we want to learn about them and the more understanding we are towards it, right? So the more curious we also need to be about other people in the same way. We can only do that if we're kind. With inanimate objects and random subjects, kindness doesn't factor in because you can't judge the thing. So you're kind by default. You're not worried. There is no fear. There is no conditioning that, oh my God, if I'm kind to this subject of quantum physics, that it'll give me more, or it'll give me less, or it'll take something away from me. But with people, that's the fear, right? That's why by default, we are told not to be nice, not to be kind. The nice guys always last. But what if we reset that and what if we approached human beings the same way? To do that, to be kind, to be curious, honestly, it is the only way to fuel that and allow the other person to occupy some space in your life. And for you also to allow yourself more curiosity with them. I don't know if that makes sense. It made sense to me when I was thinking about it. And this is how I think about things. It's weird math. I agree. It's very ADHD math. But it's emotional math. And for some reason, it just made sense to me. Maybe I can try and break it down a little bit more. But basically, we have to learn to be kind simply because of somebody else's experience or their very different understanding of knowledge or the way that they want to improve themselves because of what they might be going through, either in that moment or in that situation or over the last 5 years or maybe over the last couple of decades. You never know. But it'll be so different from us and from any other individual, right? So, in moments of connection, if we're not kind, if we're not curious, we end up making assumptions or judgments about that person. We're not even being kind enough to find out if they know as much as we do. Are they as intelligent as us? Are they less intelligent than us? Is there a reason behind it? Would they be open to sharing that knowledge with us? Would they be open to learning from us? We won't know until we're kind and until we're curious. So, if we were a little bit more open, we could maybe understand whether they function the way we do, whether they like or dislike the same things that we do. Um, and just simply because being shut down and being closed off, it's just unfair on a very basic, simple level. To be shut off from somebody who you know nothing about or you don't know enough about is just unfair. I think if somebody did that to us, we'd find it very unfair. And we tend to not operate in a way that we treat someone else the way we'd like to be treated. We tend to just completely forget about this. So, somewhere I feel this is mostly because we don't even afford this kind of kindness and curiosity to the people who are the closest to us. Like, we don't even afford this kindness and curiosity to our own families because maybe it was never afforded to us growing up. So, in spite of the fact that we live with them, we grow with them, actually have the greatest genetic predisposition to be a lot like them. But yet, even in a family, like you find each person tends to be quite different. Most of the times, families operate on what they assume the other person is like because they assume that they know you the best. So, from the time that you were a young child to a teenager, and then from a teenager to your like 20s and 30s, we always feel like, oh my God, like my parents just don't want to get to know me, or like my aunts just assume I'm this way because I was this way the previous decade. And I personally find that it's very rare in a lot of situations that families are open to this curiosity when a child is growing up. The assumption is because you are my progeny, because you are my family, because you are my blood, you will be exactly like me. But that may not be the case. There is very much, in terms of behavior, hardcore argument for nurture, right? Every generation goes through different conditioning, they go through different events that form who they are. Like, millennials are so different from boomers, are so different from Gen Z. We're seeing it, we know it, we'll make fun of it, we'll make fun of the different generations, but we won't afford that to the other person in the same family who's from that generation. So, most of the times, I feel families operate on what they assume about other people. And if something changes, not everyone in the family sees the need to learn about that change or learn who that person has become. And one of the main things with family conflict is this, and everyone feeling hurt because without knowing, your own family is being unkind and not curious about your new self or your new discovery or an epiphany or even something small you might want to change. You would like to feel like it's as important to your family as it is to you. That's why I think, along with the pursuit of knowledge, the pursuit of intellect, we should have that pursuit of kindness or to be kinder every day. It's not easy. It does require time. It does require a lot of small steps. But again, I've been trying it for the last few months, and I can tell you it is well worth it. Eventually, it allows you to see through a very fair and just lens how other people behave, what the differences are between what you desire and what you want, and what they desire and what they want, and how your openness to learning something new, your openness to being kind, um, is taken either positively or negatively by them, and whether they also have that same openness and that same curiosity. Now, those first 2 points were a little intense, yes, but my next 2 points are shorter and they kind of stem from the same thing. Before I continue, though, if you have enjoyed listening to my internal dialogues, I would really appreciate if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, leave a comment, put in something in the chat. And I'd really like to do this together more often. So if you could do that for me, that would be really great. Um, but yeah, the third topic that I'd like to go into is self-improvement and love. People want others to love them, but won't do anything to make themselves admirable and won't love themselves either. I dreamt of this a couple of months ago because I was going through something really shit with some people and I just couldn't understand why they were treating me this way. And I genuinely feel like when you're down in the dumps and you don't feel like you're worth it, you don't improve yourself at all. So the people who love you and the people who rely on you see that you've given up on yourself, and then they will also think that you are not worth giving to, which is sad. But not everyone has the capacity to just constantly give if you are going to be shut down and not be kind to them because you're busy being so unkind to yourself. So I don't know what the deeper reason is. Okay, I'm sure there's something that ties this to past traumas, things that you've gone through as a child, connections with your parents, with your family, whatever. But self improvement and wanting to get better at anything is a natural human habit. It is a natural human desire. It is very much a human trait. And one of the main reasons that we get sad, depressed, feel worthless, have a lot of low self esteem is because we think we don't need to apply it to ourselves. We don't need to improve. We don't need to push ourselves. Why should I wake up tomorrow and try and have a better day? Um, we just don't want to do anything beyond a certain degree. We want our lives suddenly to be easy when deep down we know that nothing comes easy. The only thing that is easy to do is maybe take deep breaths, and trust me, I think there are a lot of people in the world who find it really hard to simply just breathe. It's tough. Um, so life is tough, right? It's the Buddhist philosophy of life is suffering. It's a sum of suffering, but you have to find a way to get through it. So there is very much a lot of evidence that people can heal through relationships, through friendships, through other people, and that this work, this heavy work of improving yourself, does not have to be done alone. But I've tried everything. And from the conversations I've had with people, regardless of whether you can or can't heal through relationships or friendships or family connections, it very much still requires you working on yourself first. No one is there to help you get better to the same degree that you can help yourself, or at least they may stop trying at some point if you don't show those changes on your own, in yourself, to them actively. Um, and what makes it even worse for other people to help you is to constantly go into that cycle of continuing then to behave like a victim and to constantly be miserable about the same thing. And it's cyclical. You feel like you've come out of something, and then you feel like the next time you're trying to be a victim, it's a totally, oh my God, it's a totally different situation. That's absolutely not what it was before. But to other people, if you don't feel like you have control over this cycle, to other people, it's just you pull yourself out, you don't have that desire to improve yourself, you go back into the same rut or that same situation of being stuck somewhere, even though you think you try to make different decisions, but you've not actually been cognizant enough to see how much control you actually have over your choices. Which leads me to the fourth thing. To do any of this, you have to have that mental strength. And mental strength is actually the true path to just being happy. If you improve yourself, if you love yourself, if you open yourself to kindness and curiosity, if you can give that kindness and curiosity and that love to someone else every day, if you can be open to receiving that kindness and curiosity and love from somebody else, why would you not do it? And of course, it'll make you happier. So if your feelings are stopping you from doing what you know you have to do right now to make your future self better and happier, you're allowing those feelings to make you that way, then it's not your feelings so much. Either in that moment, or maybe in general, you're just not mentally strong enough to move past them and stick to your original plan. I do this to myself all the time. I build a beautiful plan. Sure, plans don't always work out. Sometimes you need 26 fucking plans to be able to just stick to one. But I'll make all those 26 different plans and I will just struggle to stick to them because I just let my emotions run wild. And it's not really required. I just need to be like, okay, I have feelings. I understand these feelings. I am not defined by them. I know I have to go from point A to point B. Okay, fine. I went off track a little bit, but I need to go from point A to point B. These are the things I need to do to go from point A to point B. And I need to do them even if I'm crying, even if I'm feeling shit, even if I'm in pain. I just have to do it. What helps me get through this, especially when I'm just overridden by emotion, is to figure out why. Something I did during the pandemic and being locked in a room for 10 days straight because I was quarantined. I was actually quarantined 3 times during COVID. And the least amount of time that I was quarantined for was 10 days. Uh, Through those three situations, I came up with a lot of devices for me to use, formats for me to use to figure out why I feel the way I feel first. So there is a cause. I can understand if it's real or not, and then I can take it and move on. So the first thing that I kind of had to teach myself to do is accept. Okay, I'm feeling this, and this made me weak. Just be okay with saying, yeah, I'm weak. I was weak. I had a weak moment. It's fine. Okay, I'm feeling this. This is what is making me weak. And then figure out why I wasn't mentally strong enough to deal with that for that situation. It is the first thing that allowed me to understand, oh fuck, if I'm weak, I need to do some deep work to strengthen this part of myself. I thought about it like default setting, thought about it from the perspective of an athlete or just the perspective of somebody who likes to go to the gym. If I have a weak muscle, attack, 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 wake up in the morning, figure out how to make it better, figure out how to make it better, figure out how to make it better. So, figure out why I was feeling weak, why I'm not mentally strong enough for that situation. And then what do I need to do to strengthen that? mental part of myself so that I'm strong enough for that situation the next time it comes around. And then do the deep work. Get stronger, and maybe the next situation will be worse. Maybe I will still continue to be happy even if I'm mentally strong, but at least I'll be able to handle it. I will never be as unhappy as I was the first time that I felt weak because I will never be that weak again. Simply to break it down, it's just that every day you have to do that one list of things to get from point A to point B. For example, if you're leaving the house, we always have a mental checklist, right? Take the keys, get in the car, uh, don't forget your wallet, phone, whatever. If you have to go meet a friend, take the keys, get in the car, take a left at this signal, turn right at this signal, switch on the GPS. You don't know where you're going. It'll tell you take a right here, left here, straight here, drive 3 kilometers, park the car, walk 200 meters. You've reached your destination. You've reached maybe your favorite place in the city, the gym or a coffee shop or a restaurant or whatever. So you having that list of things to do to go from a point A to point B means you reach point B in the correct way. And then point B is a destination that gives you happiness. So if you can reach there, then you're happy. So in a nutshell, honestly, that's all it is. Easier said than done for sure, but default setting, nothing is easy. Everything is difficult. You just still have to wake up and do it. On this drive from point A to point B, you'll get traffic. Something may happen on the way. It's not a straight route. You don't know which road you may have to take. You don't know if you're in Bombay, though you'll never know if there's construction or a fallen tree or there's rain or something like that. You won't know, but you have to get there. You do know right now where you are, and you do know where you want to be. And those two things, just focus on those two things, point A and point B. So you also know that if you don't do it, if you don't reach your destination, if you chicken out, not chicken out, but sometimes you can't reach your destination. I completely get that. But you know that if you don't do that entire list and you don't reach your destination for a reason that is in your control, and if that destination and that goal in life, or for that period of time that you've chosen for yourself, that's something that is meant to bring you happiness, then what happens if you don't do what you need to do to get there? If you've linked that to happiness, so you know the result of that journey or the result of getting there leads to happiness, then isn't it true that if you don't ever reach a destination, you will never be happy? And while we are okay, we think we are okay with what I spoke about before, which is not learning enough and not doing enough to improve ourselves, not doing enough to be kinder to ourselves, to be more curious to us and the others. If we don't try and improve ourselves every day, if we're not doing the work, if we're enjoying the excuses that we've convinced ourselves of, we will not be happy. But to add to it, we are also not okay with our own unhappiness. So it's a really shitty cycle that we create and we stay stuck in over and over and over again. And the one thing that we feed by doing this is anxiety. Anxiety loves eating off of this. And if you do get anxious in certain situations and you've put yourself in this cycle, your anxiety will never allow you to actually face the reality that you do have control over certain things and you can improve yourself. Um, Now, a lot of this sounds super cynical, and I really don't like sounding cynical. I just enjoy ending on a positive note, and I'm kind of almost done. So, what immediately helps you to be kinder is being aware. Chart out all the things you have at your disposal. Simple, do the Maslow's hierarchy. You have a roof, a car, food on the table, money, friends, family, a nice coffee mug, simply waking up in the morning today. We're definitely not grateful enough about just waking up, man. Just existing, I swear. Right, and so on. So, when you see how much you have and you realize that in this moment you are safe, you are okay, there is nothing that will take away that safety from you. What it might be very little, you may not even have a roof over your head, but you are alive. You are there. You can do something about it because you have life. Because maybe you have people, maybe you need to reach out to new people, maybe you have to find your group that'll help you with this. But when you see how much you have, how much potential there is to gain, and you realize that in this moment you are safe, your mind will no longer want to be defensive and shut down and on high alert all the time, or conscious or conscious, and on high alert all the time, or anxious, not conscious. I want to be conscious. I like it. Or anxious or worried that something won't work out. Because even if it doesn't, you know that you can handle it. You know that you got out of worse situations before to bring you where you are today. You've pushed yourself, you've improved, you've done the deep work. You are grateful, you are aware, you can see what's around you, you can see the positive, you can see the negative, you know what the equation is. Maybe you have to spend a little time to figure it out, but at least now you're aware. So you're in a situation where you can figure it out. Uh, and then you've got it. So being aware can be the beginning of going through this entire cycle of kindness, not taking advantage of people, becoming smarter, becoming more intelligent, learning from others, improving yourself daily so you love yourself, improving yourself daily so you can accept others to love you, building that mental strength that you may not have had before, but you want to achieve in the future, and finding the happiness from this path and allowing it to make you happy all the time. I don't know if this math makes sense. It made sense to me, and I've actually found a lot of joy from it. It's allowed me to open up to a lot of new people at an age where I genuinely believe it's very difficult to make new friends. Um, so yeah, that's all of it. I hope this helps. Even if it helps one person, actually, I would be very happy. But yeah, if you have any questions for me, drop them in the chat, drop them in the comments. Let me know, reach out to me anywhere. If you know me, you can always ask me whatever you like. Even if you don't know me, the comment section is there, and I'm more than happy to tell you what I think, engage with you in a fun conversation. I think after talking about a lot of this, I should be the first person to genuinely be open to learning. So let me know. And thank you for joining me in this very long but short conversation. And the first episode of Ninja Thinks No One Cares. If you care, let me know. Drop a like, subscribe, share. Uh, have a great day. and I hope you stay kind.